What's going on, guys? Thanks for stopping by. If you haven't been here before, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back to another episode of Talk About Transformers. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Legacy Deluxe Class Skids figure. First and foremost, we'll take a look at the box. It's got an image there of Skids on the front in his vehicle mode with that neon styling of the Legacy box going on. You've got Autobot Skids on the side here, Transformers Legacy. He's a deluxe class in multiple language. He is Hasbro product. He is a Transformer from the Generations line, a Takara Tomy product also. He is also for ages 8+. Top of the box says that he is indeed Legacy. The side of the box, you've got your Autobot side artwork there. Going down, Generations, Legacy. Good stuff. Other side of the box, you've got Skids' face there, looking all skidsy as it should, and then zoom back the lens a bit to get a full body shot of the same thing, where he's got his guns hooked together with the axe in the tip of the barrel, which is kind of funny because I do something similar with the weapons, but not quite the same. You've got product shots of Skids, Autobot Skids, Transformers up in the corner, more than meets the eye. You've got the weapon pack, the laser Mohawk, whatever you want to call it. There he is in vehicle mode with the gun on the side and the laser Mohawk on the top. 14 steps, QR code, product has some specs and whatnot, what comes in the box, all the words and things and words. The bottom of the box, there's your barcode for finding them in stores. There is manufacturing data and things like that, and that's it for his box. And then we'll go ahead and bring Skids a bit closer and angle down on him so we can take a look at his vehicle mode. Here he is. He's got smudges. Someone is knocking, hold on. Alrighty, back to recording. Here Skids is in his little tiny adorable car alt mode. You've got red and silver striping on the side, clear window, molded back window detail. You've got a pinwheel and a clipped wheel, so you've got two different flavors of wheels going on there. You've got a little gas cap and molded in door handle, and then a peg right behind the gas cap. So he's got two gas caps there. Coming around to the front, you've got, I gotta try and keep him out of my light, there we go. You've got some details on the red panel in the window. You've got the bump out on the hood, Autobot symbol there, silver paint and yellow paint on the hood for your painted details, with black on this bumper section and grille with red lights down here. I don't know, I mean turn indicators maybe. I think that's what these little molded nubbins right here are, turn indicators, but either way, you've got some paint there. Top of the car, another window there for you, another port, some subtle detailing, little roof groove and whatnot. This side of the car is the same. Back of the car has got a lot of molded detail and not a lick of paint in sight. No paint back here. So it is very much a blue plastic with details that are washed out by no paint. Here he is from the bottom. You got big old feet, shin panels, visible head syndrome that you can't get rid of, because if you turned it around, he'd have it on the hood. The hood section would have a face. So visible head syndrome in there, and that's pretty much it for the vehicle mode. It can roll, as vehicles are wont to do. And we'll go ahead and take a look at some accessories here. He comes with two different guns. He comes with this gun for starters. It is molded in black and painted silver. It has a port on the top, a post on the bottom, a port on the bottom. Stop focusing on Skids. Go ahead and zoom in here on the gun. There we go. Get a nice close-up image of the gun. Gun number 2 here is his little double-barreled blaster, also molded in black and painted in silver. You got a post on the bottom and no ports on the top. but lots of molded detail on these little barrels there, like those stripes right behind the tip, right there under my thumb. Look at those tiny little stripes. And then for his third weapon, you get the Mohawk Murder Axe Gun, all blue plastic. You've got a barrel here, like a gun barrel, and it can act like a 5mm port. You've got a peg there, you've got port on each side of the axe, and you can store the axe on the roof, like the picture with him having his murder mohawk, and then you just take the guns and store them on the side. But I take all of his weapons and create that multi-weapon that was in the artwork image, and then I store them in Laser Prime's trailer, which I'll show when I review him, where I put Skids and RC's weapons. But so I just take the two guns and merge them into one triple-barreled gun, like so, and then take the black port and plug it in, or this port here. That's right, the black, not the black post. The port plugs into the post in the axe, and it gives you that gun he used, where you've got this big old blue laser barrel and some side barrels down here. But that's not how I use it. I'll show you how I use it in robot mode, and then if you don't have a laser prime to store it in, you can just put that on the top of the car and call it a day, and unplug the roof, taking it out. But that's about it for Skids in his alt mode. So we'll go ahead and take a look at some size comparisons and then move into the transformation. Also, my heater just kicked on, and since I got a new pretty cheap mic, I don't know how well that's going to come across, so we'll see when we're done recording, guys. Alrighty, here for your core class comparison is the Starscream core class figure. Here for a Legends adjacent scale figure, you have the KO New Age Skywarp figure. For your Deluxe class size comparison, here he is with Autobot JP93. Here he is with the Legacy Voyager class Prime Universe Bulkhead for your Voyager scale comparison. And last but not least, here you have your Leader class scale comparison with the Studio Series 86 Leader class Grimlock. Alrighty, and that about does it for the size comparisons. We'll take a look at his transformation now. First thing I'm going to do is pop open the doors. I guess if you wanted to, I could have showed it off when I showed off his Rolly Dooty-Doos. His doors open at the correct place, so he has opening doors. Don't want to forget to mention that part of the transformation though, so I would have hit it eventually like I did. So you will go ahead and open his doors, and I'm going to take these flaps and give him a tug and fold his legs down, and go ahead and take these panels and fold them up, and there is a tab here and here, and there are corresponding slots on the panels, and you're just going to tab those in. Then we'll take these bottom wheels, and they are on a thooping hinge type deal, so they're just going to thoop past their locking point and then rest in there. They're not thooping in there, but they're resting in there, and they're not going anywhere unless you want them to. So he's got his wheels on the bottom of his feet. We'll go ahead and unpeg his arms from the bottom. You've got this tab here, and it will go into this molded waffling there. So they made use of the waffling right in that gap, I believe, is where it's going. So they used the waffling as tabs. We'll go ahead, put his other arm up, and then we'll go ahead and spread them out like so. And now for his waist, we're going to unplug the roof section. You've got two pegs right here that are going into ports or slots, if you will. Hold on. We'll go ahead and fold his waist piece down and snap it into place. It's a light thoopy snap, but it is a snap there. we can take, there's a slot and there's a slot for picking that in. And then I found the next best thing to do is to actually untab the windscreen. Oh, that's his arm. Untab the windscreen. You've got little tabs that go into little slots on this hood section, and you want to fold that forward a little bit before you bend the torso down, because if you don't, the windscreen can decapitate him. So we'll fold the torso down and peg it into place so it dupes into place. So you see, he did not get decapitated, but we'll go ahead and show the alternative version where you just start folding it all down together. It doesn't really want to move. Okay, he didn't get decapitated this time, but this edge of the windshield can get caught behind his head and literally lift it off and decapitate him. So there, his torso's in place. We're gonna bend down his legs at the hips. Go ahead and just kind of mush this plate against his back and fold the wheels back. We'll split his legs. Then for the arms, we're just gonna rotate them forward and down, and then turn the forearms forward, again forward, down, forearms forward, and that pretty much does it for Skids' transformation. It's a pretty quick, simple transformation. So we'll go ahead and make sure everything's tabbed into place, and then we'll take a look at his details and articulation. Alrighty, everything is indeed tabbed in and as it should be, no missing steps. So go ahead and instead of bringing him in, let's bring the camera in to him. Let me raise this, angle this up slightly so that way you can take a look at his head. It is molded in blue with silver paint on the face and blue paint for the eyes, nice sky blue looking, maybe energon blue even, paint for his eyes. He does have a panel on the back of his head, which bothers some people, but it doesn't bother me too much. I mean, this part at the top is kind of unsightly, but for the most part, I don't really see it. And I'm kind of just happy to have a Skids. As you know, I am influenced and like to watch other reviewers, and one of my favorite reviews to watch was Stu's Skid review. It got me really interested in the character, invested in the character even, and so I'm actually happy to own a figure of him because of that review. If you don't watch Stu, check him out. It's real fun, funny content. If you do watch him, then you know what I'm talking about. Coming down to the chest, you've got the same mold and paint that you did on the vehicle torso, on the vehicle torso, because vehicles have those, by the way. This, the front grille section of the vehicle is known as the vehicle torso. I know that some of you might not have known that, but I'm in the know and I'm teaching you trade secrets. Down to the waist, you've got the red middle of the waist with the black hip assemblies where there are no flaps because it's all built into the rotation, which is a design style I really like, as well as a lot of other reviewers like. No hip flaps and stuff like that, you just rotate the whole thing around so it all looks cohesive. But you've got black there, red in the middle, and then silver paint on his thighs. It is blue plastic, as you can see inside there, so lots of color breakup. I like my color breakup, you know that. And then coming down to the legs, you got those black shin panels with the blue sides of the car and the big old red feet. So this guy is just visually interesting with all the color breakup. Looking at his arms, he's got black hands, blue forearms. The bottom of his biceps are black, and then you've got a little bit of blue and then the black of the tires, so more color breakup. The stripes on the door even just kind of put some red in there. Lots of really nice color breakup. Coming back to the bottom, we'll go up the side. You've got the striping from vehicle mode, those nice silver thighs, and then you've got the arms coming through. He could be considered to be hollow a bit underneath. I think that the torso looks solid, and this back panel is nothing new to Skids from what I've seen. And then you've got the door striping that I mentioned, and even from the side perspective, the only part of the head that looks a little wonky is that top section. So again, not really faulting it there. Coming to the back, you've just got flaps. You've got flaps and flaps and flaps, but it doesn't look hollow. It doesn't look bad. If there was paint on the back of the car, it might look a little better, but I'm not one to complain about paint most of the time, especially with how much is on the front of the robot. He's got some waffling inside the legs, but they've got like a molded in spring and details and stuff, so it's not boring waffling. At least there's details in there, and this part is solid, so not a whole lot to complain about. He's got a thigh tattoo with his little ID number there, and that's pretty much it for the way he looks. Molded detail, color breakup, paint. I like it. I like it a lot. Now for articulation, his head is on a ball joint. That will get you the full 360. He can look down a little bit. Can't really look up because of his cranial flap. And he can do a minor side tilt, but it's not really going anywhere because of his cranial flap. We're going to go ahead and rotate. We're going to unpeg the torso of robot in vehicle mode, the vehicle torso. We're going to go ahead and rotate his shoulders at the shoulder. You got to spread his arms to get him around the wings, but you have to rotate your arm out to do that anyway. For upwards, you have the hinge for transformation plus the hinge at the wheel, so he can go let me zoom out, guys, hold on. So he can go all the way out, and then we can bring it down. He does have bicep swivel, although with him I usually end up rotating the shoulder, so let me rotate that real quick. He's got bicep swivel, full 360 on that. He's got slightly over 90 at the elbow, and then the wrists are on mushroom pegs and therefore do the swivel. So there you have his arm articulation. Fold them out to the side. Now he's got this car flap, but you can easily move it out of the way, so you can take it, bumping the cord from my mic. You can take full advantage of the 360 waist rotation there. For the hips, keeping that folded back, you've got pretty much all the way back as far as you'd want. You've got forward as far as you'd want. You've got pretty much 90-degree knee bend. You have a mushroom assembly in there that's going to give you your thigh tilt, and it does go all the way around and pop off if you go too far, so it's going to give you the range you want, and as long as you don't do what I just did, you won't pop it off. And it did not come off easy, and it does not go back on easy, so it's not just falling off of there. It's pretty sturdy. And then for the feet, you've got ankle tilts that go all the way 90 degrees. And you've got the wheels that you can fold out if you want them to have some heelys. If you're old enough to remember those, go ahead and comment below. And that pretty much does it for his articulation. Taking a look here at his accessories, you could break his accessories back up. And if I was going to do that, I'd have this gun in this arm port, and I'd rotate his hand, so he was like shooting a forearm gun. I'd probably give him his axe in this hand still, and then the big gun would go on his back, the middle gun would go on his back, or it would stay on the axe just to kind of fill it out. But I like to keep them all together and act like these gun barrels are like a rocket, so he could like Thor's hammer his axe and throw his axe and it would rocket out and then like magnet it back. He's a scientist, he could figure it out. Theoretician, whatever, it's this kind of scientist. He could theorize how to make an awesome rocket axe and then build it. But so I just like to have all the guns configured like they were in the box art picture, but instead of being a gun, it's a rocket axe. So Skids gets a rocket axe, and that's what I do with his accessories. We'll go ahead and get him in a pose and take a look at some size comparisons. Alrighty, there you have him with Core Class Rat Trap for your Core Class size comparison. There he is with Prime Jr., aka the Legend Scale New Age G1 Style Optimus Prime for your Legend Scale. Here he is with the Studio Series 86 Deluxe sized Voyager Class Hot Rod figure for your Deluxe size scale. And there you have him with the Kingdom Voyager Class Cyclonus for your Voyager Class size comparison. And last but not leastly, there you have him with the Studio Series 86 Leader Class Slug figure for your Leader Class size comparison. A note, yes, I called him Slug this time, but because I understand the meaning behind his original name and that it was not intended to be anything offensive, I may or may not refer to him as Slag in the future. Please do not take offense. It is a byproduct of an industrial process. That is what it is named after, and that is why I have no qualms about using it in the future. Thanks for listening to that little rant, and we'll get on to the final thoughts. Alrighty, I'm going over the negatives real quick because they are few and far between. Very minor nitpick that other people have more than I do. The back of the head panel, it looks a little wonky at the top to me. It's nothing that I'm gonna cry about. It's nothing I'm gonna go, oh, Legacy sucks about. It's just a thing that happened due to his transformation. Siege Hound has a similar situation, only you could like fold his back because it was on a separate hinge. But if you don't fold that back, then he's got a similar look to his head. And I don't remember hearing anyone complain about that. Major-ish complaint I have, the only real complaint I personally have, is the back of the vehicle mode is nicely molded and doesn't have a lick of paint on it. Now, looking at the front of this robot mode, you can see where the paint budget went, especially with the silver on the weapons. Instead of them just being molded in like Games Workshop gray, they used the same paint on the thighs as they did on the weapons. So with that being said, I cannot complain too much about it, but I'm going to complain a little bit about the back of the car not being painted. But considering you can't see it from the front of the robot mode, and you can't see it from the front of the car, and the rest of the car is pretty well painted. The red stripe on the side doesn't go all the way to the front, but I'm not really complaining about that either, just because of, you know, where the paint is. I'm happy with the paint that's there, so I'm only going to mildly gripe about the paint that's not. I think that the transformation is simple but satisfying and fun to do. I have no issues with it other than accidentally decapitating him a couple of times, but I learned to work around it, and I grew, and it was a learning chance for learning, opportunity. I learned and grew and did not decapitate poor Skids because he's died enough. The robot mode has really good articulation. I think that it captures the character pretty good as far as I understand Skids to look like. Is it a Honda City Turbo? No. It's not a licensed Honda City Turbo. Is it a little adorable tiny car? Yeah, and it's very Skids-like. I think that people should appreciate it for what it is, considering that we got him at all. And the vehicle mode, as I just alluded to, I think is a good representation of Skids. One last bit of color breakup I forgot to mention, but the panel his head sits on is black. So there you go. You got color breakup in the torso from the front paint, and the Autobot symbol on the chest with the black panel under his head. So this guy has just got a lot of visual heft to him, if that makes any sense. It's interesting to look at. He's got all the color breakup. He doesn't look bland, but he also doesn't look muddled. When I complained about Dragstrip looking too yellow, this is what I meant by having some color breakup. This guy is predominantly blue, but he's got silvers, reds in there with some black too, and so it all comes together real cohesively and makes him look more interesting for it. That's pretty much it on Skids though. Definitely recommend him if you were on the fence about him. I was on the fence about a lot of these Legacy guys, and like I said, the only ones I don't have are the 3 core class, and then I don't have Kickback. I was thinking about maybe picking him up to complete the wave as far as everyone but the Legends go, but then when I went up to Walmart, he wasn't there anymore, so we'll see if I find one later on. Maybe if my Walmart does what it always does and overstocks the crap out of a wave because people are waiting for it and then hungrily snatch it up and they're like, oh, this is popular, and they buy 6 more cases and then no one wants them because they already have them. You guys, does Walmart have that issue? Go ahead, leave it in the comments down below. But if I get a kickback, I'll review them when I get them. If you're curious about the core class, why I'm not getting those, go ahead and comment that down below and I'll give you a response. It might be a TLDR, but it'll be a response. And with that, I would ask you, please like the video if you thought it was informative. If you thought that it helped you in some way, go ahead and give it a like. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content enough to do so. And check out my other reviews. I have playlists in the description. And follow me on my social media links, which I don't maintain a lot of activity on. Mostly just kind of post sometimes maybe when I'm gonna have a review if I do it and don't forget. And with that being said, this has been Sir Tacos with another episode of Talk About Transformers. Have a good one.